to second AI meetup, and I'm really happy to see you all here. I am Justina, and I work as a senior data scientist at Inefficiencies, which is a video game developer based in Spa. And today, I would like to talk about how we use AI and AI systems at Inefficiencies to advance the way we do data analytics and data reporting, and also how AI is going to change the workplace. So, it's clear, whether we want this or not, whether we notice this or not, AI is becoming a more and more important part of our daily lives. It's already changing the way we communicate, the way we perform simple data tasks, and I think it's just a matter of time and it's going to change the way we work. Well, interesting thing is that a lot of people are afraid of AI, and they are quite hesitant when it comes to the prospects of AI in the workplace, because they think that it will happen like this, that one day they will show up at their office and at their desk they will see this robot and who's going to take the first chance to kick them out of their job because overnight a robot became better at those tasks that humans used to do. But the reality is a little bit different, and it's actually a little bit simpler. So we already have chatbots and AI systems around, and people are using them on a daily basis actually, and more enterprise companies are starting to use AI assistants internally and externally. And they do so because AI assistants help to optimize and automate internal processes, cut costs, and also empower the teams. And that's why I think instead of being afraid of AI and AI assistants and our jobs, we should leverage them and use them so that they would help us to become more relevant, because they can help to make us more productive, more efficient, and also give us more time to focus on tasks which actually require human creativity and human wisdom. So what's the deal with data analytics and AI? So probably everyone will agree with me that data is a really big asset these days. And more and more companies are becoming data-driven, and I have been in the analytics field for a while now, and I've seen how life-changing and business-changing some useful data insights can be. On my daily job, I get a lot of data requests from different people from my company, from designers, from developers, from stakeholders. But on top of data reporting and general analytics, I have a lot of other tasks like machine learning projects, development of data science products. So my daily job actually is constant multitasking. So I started to think why it is like that, and how can I do things differently so that I would be more efficient and basically better at what I do. And then when I looked at how things are being done in traditional BI, I saw that some of the things are done in such an inefficient way. So this is an example of how usual data reporting cycle looks like. So let's say there is a CEO of my company and he's debating about in between two different directions for the product or for the company. And what he does, he usually comes to an analyst and says, hey, can you help me out? Can you provide some useful insights which would help me to make these decisions easier? And then analysts take these requests and they start this data reporting process, which involves a lot of data wrangling, starting with getting data from the database and using different tools to find useful insights, and then writing things up in a nice reports and sending back to the users. However, there are at least 3 flaws that I can see in this process. First of all, it is incredibly time inefficient because people, especially stakeholders of enterprise companies, who need insights, they need them on the spot. And unfortunately, data reporting is sometimes quite a complicated process and it takes a lot of steps on the tools, and it usually takes from a few hours to a few days, which means that decisions at enterprise companies are constantly delayed. Another problem is that it is always kind of one-to-one type of relationship, and the analyst can work on one data request at a time, which is also not the best thing for the companies. And the third problem is that as long as data reporting involves so many different tools, it kind of leaves this search for useful insights only for specialized analysts, and it widens the gap between people who need data insights and those who can provide them. So this is where I see such a big potential for AI, and as long as course, in the data reporting, you can see patterns and actually how analysts do all this data reporting thing. It is very possible to create assistants who could provide unlimited data insights to unlimited number of people at once, and you would need just one system for that. And also a big advantage of AI systems is that if they are built on conversational interfaces, they are very user-friendly. There is no UI. There's nothing that you should teach users like how to use it, and it's already intuitive. And of course, it is very time-saving and efficient because they not only can provide insights to people on the spot, but also save a lot of time for analysts, and then they can focus on other tasks and add value for the company. So we face these problems at Radiant, and we thought of how we can improve how we do things and how we can make our company even more data-driven. And we decided to create an AI system for data reporting and analytics. And this is how we created Shiva. And Shiva is doing heavy lifting of data reporting in our company. And yes, Shiva is a dog type of assistant. So it is Shiva because first of all it stands for Self-Hosted Interface for Business Analytics, but also I'm a huge fan of Shiva Yunus, and watching one of the YouTube videos I saw a really cool comment saying that training the dog is just like training machine learning and computer science, and I loved it, and I told myself if I will ever create an intelligent system or something, it will be Shiva. And also a big advantage when you build assistants and then they are starting to learn things and they are not performing well, you can't really get mad on this like cute and smiley doggy who is always happy to help you and always there for you. So what Shiva does? Shiva has a lot of functions, and they all come together when users are asking data-related questions in our company. So first of all, Shiva is doing data processing. So every single time data request comes in, Shiva logs into the database, gets data that it needs to answer the questions. It all does all the data wrangling on its own, summarization, and that sort of stuff. Creates graphs, of course, also depending on the request. Also, it looks for data insights, so it looks back a little back in time to track trends and reports if there are any increases or decreases in numbers, and also can suggest what human-written reports a user could look at if there are any in our log. Big advantage of Shiva is that it is conversational. We built it on Slack. We use it for our company's internal conversations, and also we use only open source tools for Shiva. So we built Shiva in Python only, and use only open source libraries because we have quite sensitive data, which we don't want to share. And also we wanted to have flexibility so that if we would like to change something, adapt things to best fit our needs, and that we could have it in open source is perfect for that. And here I have a small example of how the conversation with Shiva looks like. So everything happens in Slack. It all starts with Shiva saying hello. And then it's just up to the user to ask things that they want to. So for example, here I have an example of a user asking for retention, which is one of the KPIs that people would be interested in. And to answer this question correctly and accurately, Shiva needs additional details. So for example, what type of country you are interested in for this metric, what dates, and so on, what type of retention period. And Shiva still keeps context of the initial question that it was about retention. And with those additional details, it gets the data, it also makes the graphs. So for usual graph in the gaming industry. And also it looks for insights. For example, here it says that D+1 retention stayed the same, but D+7 increased by 5% compared to the previous month. And then it suggests if a user would like to see additional reports and so on. For this demo to be short, I didn't ask for it because conversations can get long. And then we'll always ask if there's anything else to help out with. So what we used for Shiva. So we wanted Shiva to be intelligent. So we leveraged quite a lot of machine learning for this. So the first thing that happens when a user sends a message to Shiva, this message is crunched with Rasa NLU, which is open source natural language understanding library. And what it does is using machine learning to perform intent classification tasks and entity extraction tasks. So intent classification stands for process when assistant predicts what type of domain of questions or actions this incoming message stands for. So basically it helps assistant understand what the user is talking about. So for example, it can be a question about a specific metric, or like saying hi, or saying goodbye, and so on. And also entities, tiny little pieces of information that Shiva would need to answer the questions accurately. So for example, countries, dates, names, and that sort of stuff. And then once it's done and once all this information is extracted, the next stage is dialogue management system. For this we used Rasa, another really cool open source library, which uses machine learning to predict what next action or response an assistant should perform. And it is really beneficial because it allows more natural conversation as long as there is nothing hard-coded in an assistant. And then most of the times Shiva will answer with some data. So to make it fast and efficient, we used another open source tool, which is Vimeo, and it is basically a really cool platform which speeds up queries by creating reflections and kind of makes them there ready for users to use, basically. And then Shiva makes graphs, looks for insights, and returns everything back to the user. I would also like to talk a little bit more about those two main parts of Shiva, so NLU and dialogue management system, and what type of data you needed to train these systems. So for NLU, we needed labeled data. And by labeled data, I mean that we needed examples of questions or sentences that we wanted Shiva to understand. And also, we needed to provide labels, so intents, what kind of domain these questions stands for. So for example, when we trained Shiva to respond to greeting, we provided a lot of different examples of saying hi and labeled them as greet. And also for more complicated things like data requests, we also did the same. And the highlighted parts that are those entities, so those pieces of information that we wanted Shiva to understand, and also they have to be labeled. And Rasa and has a really nice UI, which makes things very easy because you don't need to add any JSON files or anything like that. And then for dialogue management system, it is really important part for assistants. And unfortunately, quite often it is overseen part. And up to now, a lot of assistants were created using state machines, which is kind of like hard-coded tools, or you can imagine them as if-else statements, that if the user says this, you should respond with this, and so on. It works, and it's nice and easy if you expect users to have very simple conversations with your assistant. But if you are building a little bit more complicated assistant, which a lot of actions and things, this whole system can turn to something like this, like a spider web. And it's going to be super difficult to track things and even make them work. And then when users are going to drift from this happy path, it's a difficult time to deal with even simple questions. So instead we use machine learning, as I mentioned, with Rasa, and to train Rasa, we used actual conversations. So just one of the examples of what type of data we needed for this. It is actual conversation that user is having with assistant, questions, answers, and so on. And after converting all this conversation data to a Rasa compatible format, we could train the model and get predictions of what should happen next. So yeah, it's all cool, but there is one problem, and quite a lot of enterprise companies have that problem, which is data. And it is a problem because a lot of enterprise companies don't have good data to start with. But if you are thinking about building AI system, a big chance is that you will have no data to start with. And this is where I found myself when I decided that I want to build this system. The good news is that you can generate data yourself. And I did that myself, and along the way I learned quite a good few lessons, which to share. So first one is that before you even start building a system, I highly suggest to put yourself in assistant's shoes. So, like literally, pretend that you are a bot, and maybe ask your friend or colleague to ask you questions, and then you just try to answer them. Why it is beneficial? So first of all, you will validate the idea of the bot. Doesn't even make sense for you to build a system for that? Is a system needed for this type of thing? Second is that you will see limitations of the bot. So if you will think of some kind of crazy task for your bot to perform, and if you will struggle for this type of task, there is a big chance that a system will do the same, or it's going to be even harder for the system to do so. And also you will start generating training data. So just keep the log of conversations, and it's basically get started quickly. Also, another suggestion is to allow people to use a system early on. It can be quite scary when a system is still learning and not performing in the best capacity, but it will allow you to get diverse data, and it is needed to make the system scalable. I learned this the hard way. So when I started building Shiva, I decided that I'm going to generate most of the training data myself. I'm going to train this assistant, and I will allow users to use it once it's going to perform well. And I spent a good few days generating training data and thinking of different ways of asking questions and so on. I trained Shiva, it performed well, I was happy, and I gave the access to some of my colleagues to try it out. And Shiva couldn't understand a single question my colleagues were asking. And I was like, what happened? And then I checked my training data, and I realized that subconsciously I kept quite similar vocabulary in the questions, I kept the same structure. So basically, the assistant wasn't scalable. And once I allowed my colleagues to use it and help me to train the system, more diverse data came in because people ask things in different ways. And it is necessary for a system to be good and flexible and scalable. And so another thing is, which is useful, is to add functionality to systems so that users will provide feedback themselves. Basically validate if the answer was correct or not, and then it's really easy to write a simple script which will take correctly answered questions and add them to training data as a log, and by this your bot is going to improve all the time automatically, and you will only need to review those mistakenly answered questions. So yeah, that's basically it. So I think that it's a really interesting time that we are living in, and there is so much potential in AI. So I think that instead of being afraid of it, we should definitely think of the best ways of how we can use it to make us be better at what we do. So yeah, if you have any questions, and if you would like to get some more information like how the coding was happening and so on, drop an email or find me on Twitter. I'm happy to answer any questions.